Hey hi everyone, welcome back. So here in this tutorial, we are going to learn about what are all available loops in Salesforce. So basically we will be learning about the most important and most widely used, that is for loop. So let's see what we have for the agenda. So we will see what are the different types of loops. There are three types of, and then we will learn about for loop in Salesforce. We will see how we can use for loop in a different way, and then so what kind of loops are available here in Salesforce. So we have three types of loop available. One is for loop, that is most widely used, and then we have while loop and do while loop. So basically we will focus on for loop because this particular loop is most widely used in Salesforce, and 99% is 99% of the work is being done with the for loop. And then we will also see a quick demo on while loop and do while loop. So let's go ahead. And so what is actually a for loop? So basically in Salesforce supports three kinds of for loop. One is the traditional for loop, like we if someone is familiar, like they did in Java programming language, and that is the first one. And then second one, we have we can iterate over a list or a set of, that is called as iteration for loop. So and then the third one is SOQL for loop. So whenever we are making a query on a particular object and then iterating with that. So let's go ahead one by one. So for traditional for loop, this is a very simple syntax that you can see. It consists of three syntax. One is initialization statement, then the exit condition, in which condition this particular for loop should terminate, and then increment condition, and then inside that it has code block, whatever the logic that you wanted to put. So how whenever Salesforce is executing these kind of loops, how that Salesforce executes. So first it go with the exit statement, init statement, then it checks for the exit condition. If the condition is true, it comes and execute the complete logic, and then it go to the increment statement, whatever the statement you have provided here, and then after it repeats the step 2 and 3. The first init condition is executed only once, and then all these three conditions are executed repeatedly. That means it will check exit condition, go back to the code block, and again check increment condition, then again uh, check the exit condition, and then go back to a code block. So this particular 2, 3, and 4 points are the repeated process. So let's go ahead and check how this works. So this is our Salesforce org. We are going to create a new class. We will say that Salesforce loop demo. Quickly we will create a method here. We can say that traditional for loop. So it's something like that. Let's say that what I wanted to do is I wanted to iterate integer I equal to 0, and then until I is less than 10, I plus, and then I wanted to execute that for loop. So here it will, I'll just debug value of I here, and I'll say plus I. So how it will work? First it will check the initialization statement, which is saying that I must start from 0, and then it will check the exit condition, which is saying that I must be less than 10. The loop will start from 0 and will run till 9, because 9 is the latest, 9 is the last number that is less than 10. And then for the increment condition, there is only one, like every time I will come, this condition will execute it, it will increase the value for I with a 1. Here you can also put your condition like I plus I plus equal to 2, or anything. You can put I plus 2, or you can do I plus 1. So whatever condition you wanted to, if you wanted to put here, let's say that I plus 2, and then you wanted to do debug this, and then after you will see it. So oops, sorry. So now let's go ahead and execute that. So I'll copy this class name. So here, and the name of method is traditional follow. So now let's execute this, and we will see how what kind of numbers we are getting here while it is debugging. It is taking that much time. So here to see the debug, you have two ways. Either you can go to this logs tab, and then you are there you can get, it is saying CPU time limit exceed. Okay, let me make it I plus plus. It highlighted. Cool. So here either you can see the log here in the log section, or you can turn on the debug log and then you can see that log there. So if you check here, you can see from 0 to 9 we are getting the value from 0 to 9. So the process is again, it will check I equal to 0 in the first step, and then it will check either 0 is less than 9, it will say yes, then it will debug, and then it will again check, and sorry, it will go to this third condition, that is increment, and it will increment the value of I with plus 1, that will be 1, and then it will again check. Now the value of I is 1, it will check either I is less than 9, it will say yes, sorry, it is 10 and not 9. So it will say yes, it will debug, and then it will again increment, and then it will check again the conditions. So this it's a very traditional for loop that is supported by Salesforce. You want to when it is useful. So let's say that you wanted to, based on a parent record, you are inserting a parent record, and then why let me type here why we should go. So if you have a parent record and you wanted to insert certain number of child record based on for that particular parent record, you can go with the traditional for loop. You can add code values here, or you can also use custom labels to store those values and get here. That is the other part of it that we can make dynamic. We don't want to hard code the value. So this is like if you wanted to create some certain number of records, you can go with this traditional for loop. So let's go with the other one, that is the list or set iteration for loop. So what it does, let's say that this time in the traditional for loop, what we did, we debug the certain number of elements there. We iterated the for loop while that value of I is less than 10, we iterated. Now let's say that we don't know the element, the number of elements, we don't have the number of elements, or we don't want the condition till which till how many records on that particular for loop will get executed. There might be a single record, there might be 100 records, there might be 1,000 records, there might be a millions of record. So in that case, we should adopt this instead of traditional for loop, we should adopt this that is set iteration for loop. So how does it work? So it also takes three parameter. So it said a data type, whatever the data type of set or list is. So let's say that I will explain you while doing the live implementation, and then the variable, whatever the variable you want to, and this is the complete list, and then whatever the logic you wanted to put here inside that code block. So let's go ahead and see how this work. So let me quickly create one more method. I will say that set or list, and here I will say follow. So now I will create a set of string here, sorry, list of string, and I'll say name list, and then I'll just add 2 3 random names here. Let's say put one element here. So I just added some random name here. Cool. So now this is some static string that I did created, but in real time you don't know the number of elements that are coming with a SOQL statement or what. Yeah, definitely you can go ahead and get the size of that particular list and then iterate with the help of this traditional for loop that we will see. So now if you wanted to iterate with this list, so how you are going to do? So you need to type for here, and then we talk about data type. So data type will be same as whatever the data type is of list. So it is a string, so it will be a string, and then the variable name whatever you can put of your choice. So let's say that name, and then put a colon here, and then after that you need to put the complete string, complete list, whatever list you wanted to iterate. So here how does it will work? It will assign the value of it will assign the value for each of element inside this particular variable. So let's say that if this particular list contains 1 2 3 4 5 6, so it will assign the value of each element one by one to this particular variable, and then you can debug that particular variable. So here we have 7. So what it will do, this name value will this particular list will iterated one by one. It is similar, it is something similar to this loop basically. So what it will do, it will uh, get first where it will get start from the 0th index. It will take this, and then will print then that it will again go to the again index. It will print that it will again go to this index, and it will repeat the process until unless this particular variable has reached to the last index of the string. That will be, in our case it will be 6, because the length of string is 7. So this is how work. It will assign the value for each and every element in this variable. So now if you'll go ahead and execute this, so let's see what output we are getting. So here you can see we are getting all those 6 elements, element whatever the value we put inside there. Now what you must be thinking about that, if we have a list, we'll definitely use the size method of that list, and then we can get how many number of records we do have, and then we can use traditional for loop. Yes, you're right, you can definitely do that, but before we do that, we will go with the SOQL for loop, and then we will come back to that particular topic, and so that you can get the what exactly I am trying to convey here, when we should use traditional and this all. So next we have SOQL for loop. So what it does, it is similar to iteration for loop, but the only difference is whatever the SOQL query we wanted to put, this SOQL query will be inside this. Instead of list, we put their list of a string, but here we will put the SOQL query. So how it will work, let me show you. So I'll just quickly create one more method here, and I will say SOQL for loop. So how it will does, let's say that we are trying to query on account record. So the data type will be account, because we are querying on account record, account object, and that particular SOQL query will return account, and we'll say name at ACC, and then we'll put a SOQL here. Let's say that select ID name from account, and we are limiting 10 accounts. We wanted to fetch only 10 accounts. So I will also put one filter here. Let's leave it, and then system.debug, and we will say acc.name is acc.name, and then we also try to put id here, so we will say acc.id. So this is very similar to this. What it will, okay, it is saying account, it is giving us some error. Okay, because I forgot to put a comma here. Cool. Let it open. So here you can see we are saved. Now let's go ahead, execute this. So, and you can debug this. You will see the name of account and with respect to their ID, whatever the ID is there and whatever the name. So here you can see we have 10 debug years, 0 to 9. So what it will work, it will first it will query all the records, and then it will assign the account one by one account to this variable. So let's say that we have 10 records. First it will fetch the 0th record that is at 0 index, and then put this, assign the value to this particular variable. It will then it will debug. It will again go to here. It will now fetch the first index, assign the value to this particular record, and then it will debug this again, and then it will repeat this complete process until all the record has been traversed throughout, like within the list. So we were talking about that traditional for loop. So this is called a SOQL for loop, where we put SOQL for loop, SOQL instead of list. Even you can do this like as well. Definitely, if you're thinking about that, even we can create a list and then assign a query there. We can also do that. So you can also do this, and then this will also work. If you wanted to try, you can go ahead and try. And then we were talking about traditional for loop, where we can get the size. Definitely we can get the size. So get the size of account list. So here what we will do, we will create integer size equal to, we'll say whatever the account will be here, it will be here. Let's say that, let me remove, I don't have how many number of accounts I do have in my org. So we remove that, right? Now we have that size. Now we wanted to iterate with the help of traditional for loop. So how we will do, we will say integer equal to 0, that will our initial statement, and then we will say iterate until unless I is less than whatever the size we do have, and then I plus plus. Okay, and then here you wanted to debug system dot debug, and then you will say traditional for loop, right? And then here you wanted to debug. So how it will work, so here to get the account, what you need to do is SEC. And if you remember, we learned about a get method of a list, where we saw that if you wanted to get a record or an element for a particular index, we can use a get method for a particular list. So here we can get SEC in this particular list, and then here in this SEC dot name. So here now we will also get the name here. So what is the difference between these two? And now the question that comes in your mind, when we should go for this SOQL for loop, or when we should go for this traditional for loop over a SOQL for loop. So first let me execute this and see if we are able to get that number of accounts or not. So here let's execute highlighted, and then we will discuss that point as well. So here we have debug only, so you can see we are still in sec.net, sec name, and then how many numbers. Now we can see traditional for loop, and we have those accounts here. So you can see that we have all those accounts here. So these are the basic examples, and now why we wanted to. So before I go ahead, and I would like to just create few variables where before you can say before starting this for loop and after ending this for loop, I will create two variables that will be of long type and get the current time in a millisecond. So I will say that start time, and then I'll say system dot now dot get time, which will return the time in milliseconds. And then I will say here long int time, and will again get this particular time. So here, and then we will create one more variable, and we will say that int time, sorry, total time taken. Okay, and then we will subtract here with int time. Obviously this will be greater than start time. Okay, here now then we will debug this. We will say that total time taken, we can say by SOQL for loop, and then put here. Okay, and then do the same thing for traditional for loop. So here we can say that TRAD, can also do that TRAD, that will be traditional. So sorry, it will be here, and it will be start time, and then it will be a total time taken TRAD. Okay, and now here I will just replace this, and then traditional by traditional for loop. So now let's save it, and I'll just I don't have any idea which for loop is fast. I do have, but I just wanted to show you practically. So let's execute this now. So here let's click on debug only. Oops, we did one wrong thing, that is we already have that much number of accounts. So what we do, we will do, we will just limit to let it be, let it be. We will just go to, because we wanted to test the performance of a large number of records. So we will say here, and we will say that total. Yes, here you can see this is a SOQL for loop that is taking 14 milliseconds, and then traditional for loop is like taking 13 milliseconds. Now what this is, what we did, we put that query and then assign to the list. Now let's do one more thing. Just before this, we will put one more here, that, and we will use this query inside a for loop. So we will say here instead of this, okay, start time, we can say SOQL in time SOQL, and then here we can say, yep. So this is yep, this is it. Now let's go ahead, execute this, and then we will see which for loop is taking much time. So here debug only, and then filter by total, so that we can only get. So you can say, see that that is SOQL that is taking more time, which is 44, and then that is SOQL for loop that we created a list of account, and then made the query on that, stored those records into that particular list, and then use that list inside a for loop. And then this is the traditional for loop which came in picture, and that took only 9 milliseconds to execute all those records. And now how many records we have, we can check here. I don't have that much account, but I think I do have more than 100 accounts here. So it is yes, I do have 154 accounts. So this is taking you can see the difference, you can see a huge difference between all those things, all those methods. So all those three methods that we check. So what I was trying to convey was, what I was trying to show you was, if you have a list of records that you have to iterate, the best way is to get a size and then use the traditional for loop. because this is the fastest for loop ever that you will get. I already have created a class where I have compared all those performance with a huge number of records. When I say that huge number of records, I do have more than now 9,000 contact records in under a single account. And then I checked, and then I updated a single field for that particular contact, and then I checked, and even in that scenario, I only found that this is the best for loop that you can go with whenever you are working with a bulk data. You have millions of records, you have billions of records. So this is the best for loop that you can go with. So even I can show you that how many ways I have. So I have created a class that is called a performance analysis. So here I created method one. This is the first way that I did. I create a simple query contact with the help of that account, and then updated a single field, and then did the same thing that I did for all those. And then again I do have a method 2, which is doing a SOQL for loop, and then I am updating that and then doing the same thing. I do have a method 3, where I have all those I put all those code here, that is you can say I'm get querying and assigning it to a list, and then again I'm doing a traditional for loop with the help of size, and then I did perform all those time analysis here, and then I do have another method 4, by which what I'm doing is yes, there is a different way that I'm getting here, and this is I think this both two things are same. Yes, these two things are same. And then I have a method 5. So I will also share this class with you, and you can create at least 10,000 records for a contact, and then you can execute this, and you can also analyze the performance of follow. So what the conclusion is, if you have a list, you don't know how many number of records are there, and you wanted to iterate, perform some DML, or you wanted to make changes, or you wanted to put your values inside different collections, like you wanted to create a list of some particular record elements, you wanted to create a map. Best way is to use this get a size, yep, get a size, use traditional for loop, and then use the list get method to get the value and then do the trick. So this is what I wanted to show you, and I think yes, we already did. So we also have two for loop that are very rarely used. We have a while loop, and then we have a do while loop. So I will also show you. So let me open that class. I'll just copy the code from there. That's it. So I have already. So I'll close this. Yes. So this is, so first we will see while loop. So while loop, it is saying that first check the condition, then again execute the code block. So what it will do, let's say that I have initialized I equal to 1. First, it will check if either I is less than 10 or not. If yes, then it will only debug and then increment the value of I with 1. And then it will again check if the 2, if in the second iteration the value will be 2, it will again check if the value of I, that means that is 2, is less than 10 or not. If yes, then debug this. So let's check this as well. So here I will execute highlighted. I'll say debug only here. You can see I can see from 1 to 9, and let's say that if I make it as 10, it should not print any value, it should not print any count here in the debug statement. Let's see. So here, if you debug, we don't have any debug here. So this is how it first check the condition, then it do the code blockings. And now when we come to do while, it what to say do, it will say that whatever you have a logic inside do, first do that, then check the condition. So here we have one. Just let have a quick demo for this, and then you will get understand. So this is okay, cool. This is the expected output. Now let's make it. I wanted to make it as, let's say that 11, and the expected output should be. We should not be able to uh, get any debug here, but guess what? We will get that particular debug. You can see we are able to see count here. So why we are getting, what is say, do this particular thing first and then check the condition last. This is why it does debug the trick, like it does debug the count, and then it checks the condition, and then again it will terminate because the condition gets false. So these are the basic things. So uh, uh, to be honest, I haven't got a chance to work on these kind of loops where I have to use while loop. So basically, this is why we mainly focus on the for loop, that is the most widely used loop, and 99% work are being done with that help of those loops. So what we discuss about this is why I'll just show you demo and then show you how does it work, or if you find any scenario where you need to go the while loop, then you can go with, definitely you can go with while or do while loop. But while using do while loop, the condition, the consideration that you need to be aware about that is it will always execute the statement even if the condition is not true. And while statement is the best if you are wanted to go for while or do while. And then for iterating a number of records, the best thing is traditional follow. So I think this is it. We don't have any questions for that. As of now, we already covered all those questions: why we should go for traditional for loop, when we should go for SOQL for loop, when we should go for while loop, do while loop. So we already covered all these questions. So this is it for the session, and thank you. I hope you have learned very new thing. Yeah, you will get the code. You will get the link to that particular performance analysis class under the description of this particular video. That will be a GitHub repository link. Thank you.